you've got the sanctuary full, the back part's being used for Sunday school or classes or whatever, so those buildings are going to be used for other purposes at the same time. So I do think you have to account for those uses. If those uses were not going to be used ever during church service, then you wouldn't have to count them, but just like everybody else, you hope you grow that you do, so
Sure.
it'll be too late if you don't plan for it now.
David, what's your recommendation on as far as approving this evening or postponing it, or?
If you wanted to approve it, I would certainly approve it subject to the master plan being amended, showing that the sanctuary is set outside of the construction setback. And then it would have to be also subject to all applicable rules and regulations and parking requirements, et cetera, as set forth in the zoning ordinance, to be reviewed upon the submission of a site plan, or for each phase. Question that you have, would you want them to approve that tonight with those conditions, or would you rather kind of work through that and submit something back so you get a little something more concrete?
Would you
I
rather
think we-
go ahead and get it approved tonight?
I think we'd like to get them going on the phase, you know, I'm sure they want to go ahead with the multipurpose center in the back, so I think as far as a commission, if we can get them kicked off, at least with that.
Yeah, we're fine with moving forward contingent on those requirements. And even in the immediate future, we'll be glad to break down the parking calculations if that would make the planning commission feel better about the development contingent upon, you know, moving forward with approval. Again, there's plenty of parking there. It's just a matter of allocating it and to make sure that it's shown that we'll have adequate amounts for each individual facility.
David, you got something else? Our time's running out. We're going to have to adjourn this. You got one more quick
real
thing?
quick, Matthew?
So I think they are about 11 parking spots short. And that is primarily because of the construction setback. So when they had to deduct the 18 parking spots from the construction setback, it put them about 11 short based on the calculation. So we just got this today, and so we've been rushing trying to review it in time for the meeting, and just based on some quick calculations that we did, I think they're about 11 parking spots short.
He says required is 125, is that not right?
That is what is required for the sanctuary only.
David, then the fact that part of the building is over the 100-foot setback, I believe we're going to need to postpone this until our next meeting. And you can get back with it, you know, at our work session or beforehand and have it reworked, don't you think, everybody? I could see one thing like the parking, but the fact that part of the building is actually over the 100-foot setback, even though, you know, we made a note on it. If we didn't make a note on it, who knows who would be handling this situation when it comes to that phase, and say, well, here's a master plan that shows it over, and y'all approved it. No notes, no nothing, so.
What kind of time frame are y'all on? Are y'all?
As far as moving forward?
Yes,
They're wanting to move forward with phase one immediately. We're currently working on finalizing the site plan drawings and everything to move forward. So
I guess the question is, do they need to have it? I mean, you have your end of the month, if it's a special meeting kind of thing, but they just got it today is what I've heard, right?
I don't mind having a special meeting. We could do that at our work session, next work session in 2 weeks, if they can get everything back to you in time, showing revisions.
Y'all, at the end of each, last Monday of each month, the Planning Commission has a work session, and because we want to try and help y'all move along, if you think you can get everything done, they can have a special meeting, but as long as you got everything done, and that way it can be approved, you won't have to wait the whole month.
that's within 2 weeks.
Yeah, that'll just put you behind 2 weeks if you can get all that back to the staff before the work session, so they can review it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll reevaluate everything and see if we can find those parking spaces that they're required.
And make sure your chart sets forth those phases as well, because that'll be helpful for everybody.
All right, we're going to adjourn this work session. All right, we'll call the regular meeting to order. Roll call, Carol, please.
Gant, Lemoyne,
Here.
Diamond, Vaughn, Lindsay, Smith. Nelson.
Here.
Lazenby. McMillan.
Here. All right, thank you, Carol. I'd like to ask everybody, please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. David, do you mind leading us here this evening, sir?
Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for everything you give us, and we thank you for the privilege of living in this country, in this state, in this city. And Father, we ask that you give wisdom to the people that are here tonight to make the decisions that are right for this community. And Father, we ask you to bless those people that are volunteering of their time and service, and bless their families as well. And Father, we thank you for those people that protect us and the freedoms that we're exercising here tonight. And we ask that you protect them. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, David. All right, do we have city council report? A brief city council report?
Buckle up. Yeah, there's been a couple of action-packed meetings. I'll try to condense this down to the things that would interest the Planning Commission. We did have an ordinance passed that sort of mimicked the bridge project, the definitions of regulations, so forth, for lay-down yards on the causeway. We did that relative to the Tinsall Bridge project. So we also rezoned a property on Ember Lane from R1 to B2. There was an R1 to B1 on Highway 31 at 10021 Highway 21, so the northeast corner of Highway 31 and 181. Rezoned. There was a request to rezone from R2 to R4 at 30901 Spanish Oaks Drive, and the council voted to not approve that at the recommendation of this Planning Commission. Rezoned from R1 to R3 on the lot on Highway 31 just to the west of Unity Fiber. Entered into a couple of agreements with Sawgrass for drainage on Cemetery Road. And I think those are the main things that would be of interest to this Planning Commission. Mr. Mayor, do you have any other?
Yeah, I just add that the grand opening for the pickleball court will be Friday the 22nd, 9 a.m. We'll be catering it with Double D burgers and those kind of good things to help our neighbors down there. Love to have everybody out there.
All right, thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Mayor. All right, we have some minutes to get approved here. June 9th work session, June 9th regular session, June 30th special session, June 30th work session, July 14th work session, and July 14th regular session. Do we have any errors or changes to be noted? All right, minutes stand approved as written. All right, new business, agenda item 250801, application for zoning change. We'll have a public hearing on this agenda item. It's rezoning from R1 to a B4 at 9917A Spanish Fort Boulevard. The applicant is AutoZone Development, LLC. Casey, staff report, please, sir.
Mr. Chairman, this applicant is proposing to rezone the approximately 2.17 acre parcel located at the northwest corner of AL 181 and US 31 from the current zoning of R1 low density single family residential to B4 major business. The proposed use for the application has been given as retail auto parts sales. This property was recently annexed into the city limits as part of the most recent legislative annexation and was annexed as R1 with an existing use as a CVS pharmacy. Since the existing use of the property is expected to remain relatively unchanged with the proposed use of the property is expected to have little to no impact on the area. However, a zoning change to B4 could potentially allow for higher intense uses at this site, such as armory, automotive, motorcycle repair, sales, boat sales, RV and farm equipment sales, building material supply, wholesale storage, and sales of products such as food, paper products, and restaurant supplies, heavy equipment sales, lumberyard, taxi terminal, welding shop, etc. And that's majority of the uses listed in the B4 zoning category specifically. The subject property is not identified in the comprehensive plan's future land use map as it was outside the city limits at the time of the map's creation. I do want to note on this one that the agenda item later on in this agenda does address the requested use and proposes to amend the table of permitted uses to allow for this use in a B3 zoning. Should the Planning Commission recommend a lower zoning to the City Council. And there was also a public written comment submitted for public hearing to the Planning Commission on this item as well, attached in your agenda as Exhibit 2.
All right, thank you, Casey. All right, we'll open discussion.
So I'm looking at the attachment here from Campbell Group LLC. Is this the applicant that is asking for it to be postponed?
No, this is the neighboring property owner,
Thank you.
and they are out of Ohio, and obviously we're not able to be at the meeting tonight, so they wanted to submit comments for the public hearing portion of the meeting.
Did they give you a time frame that they're going to get back to you as we read this?
We had a quick conversation today. I didn't get a lot of detail from it. As far as his comments that were submitted, I don't see how a zoning change affects any declarations of easements over the property. Those shouldn't change. I don't believe the property is changing hands with the zoning change. That was the initial thought when they submitted the application, but since that time, I believe it is intended to be leased by the current owner to the proposed, or the applicants that have submitted the application. So they've submitted on behalf of the current owner. I don't know the details of the property transaction, if that's actually changing hands or not. I think it's remaining in the same ownership, so.
So, Mr. Connor, are we to put any credence in this request for them asking for this to be postponed, or are we just supposed to, because I'm confused, I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
Well, the notice was sent out accordingly. They happened to be out of town, so they received it, but it requires to go out 5 days ahead of time. That would be up to you all as to whether or not you wish to postpone action on the item. However, they said they're concerned about the subject property being R1 low-density single-family now. I don't know how that necessarily affects anything. The second one says that they're concerned about declarations of easements or other issues of title. The rezoning of the property would not affect that in any way. And also remember that this is a recommendation. The ultimate decision is made by the city council, so they would also be able to attend that public hearing, which will be set out later. So it really is up to your discretion as to whether or not you wish to postpone action. You do not have to take action, but there would also be plenty of time for them to participate at the city council level as well.
And the sign has been out for longer than August 6th.
Yeah. And again, this is not like it's a real departure. I mean, the B3 is uses that's in that area. It's not like you are changing something that dramatically. You basically just bring it into conformance with what its current use is. It came in as R1 under the annexation, and you're basically coming to a current use zoning.
I recall at our work session that I don't believe anybody was really comfortable with zoning at R4, which is what they're asking for. Excuse me, B4, so it's in our purview to downgrade that to a B3 if we feel appropriate. I think at the work session, everybody was pretty well pleased and okay with a B3 versus B4, so I'm going to say we're going to go ahead and take action on it tonight.
Okay. We need to go ahead and have the public hearing, though, and go through that process.
All right, any other discussion? All right, we'll have a public hearing. Anybody wish to speak? Public hearing is closed. Any discussion? All right, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make an attempt here. I recommend that we not approve the B4 zoning request, but recommend to the city council that this property be rezoned B3. That,
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? David, that motion is okay? Same? Okay.
So the motion would be to make a recommendation that it not be rezoned to B4, but that they consider rezoning it to B3.
Okay, all right. We have first, second, no discussion. Roll call, Carol.
Lemoyne,
Yes.
Diamond,
Yes.
Vaughn. Lindsay. Smith,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
McMillan.
All right, motion's approved. All right, we have agenda item 250802. This is application for master plan approval. This is for multi-phase project master plan layout, First Baptist Church at 8353 Spanish Fort Boulevard. The applicant was McFadden Engineering on behalf of First Baptist Church of Spanish Fort. David, I believe we're going to postpone this. We need to discuss having a special meeting at our next regular work session beforehand at 6 o'clock. Is that correct? Everybody
Mr.
good with that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there's, the proposed master plan had 5 phases, and there were some questions regarding those phases, the construction setback line and the number of parking spaces based on the uses. In order to accommodate the request of the church and the applicant, the Planning Commission discussed having a special meeting prior to their next work session, beginning at 6 o'clock, in order to consider whatever amendments they will offer to address those concerns, so they don't have to wait a whole month.
All right, thank you, David. Everybody good with that? All right, we'll move along. We have agenda item 250803. This is application for site plan approval. This is AIM Academy. The location is Rockwell School Drive, Sawgrass Consulting LLC on behalf of Malbus Plantation. Casey, staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, this application proposes to construct a new 10,128 square foot daycare facility with included playground, parking, and infrastructure on a 5.69 acre parcel located directly west of Rockwell Elementary School. The initial site plan, as submitted, proposes to utilize approximately 15% of the 5.69 acre lot to accommodate the commercial building, playground, and parking area. The subject property is currently zoned R1 low-density single-family residential and was recently annexed into the corporate limits of the city of Spanish Fort as part of the most recent legislative annexation. The table of permitted uses and conditions found in section 6.4 of the city's zoning ordinance does allow kindergarten, play school, or daycare center, public or private, provided that all activities are carried on in an enclosed building or fenced yard and that applicable federal, state, and local requirements are met with Planning Commission approval in the current zoning of R1 at this location. Subject property is not identified on the comprehensive plan's future land use map as it was outside the corporate limits at the time of the map's creation. The applicant has proposed a parking area layout that reportedly exceeds the minimum number of parking spaces required based on the proposed use and occupancy. Staff has received clarification from the applicant regarding the calculation method and proposed occupancy of the building and can verify this information is correct. I think that was one item that was left from the work session. They have since provided the, I believe parking is calculated on this one based on maximum staff capacity. So they provided more than enough parking required with this use. An ADEM NPDES stormwater permit will be required for the site, and a copy of the NOI and CBMPP will be provided at the time of permitting for construction. Staff has reviewed the submitted grading and drainage plan and is satisfied that all minimum requirements have been met as it relates to drainage on the site. An O&M plan meeting the minimum standards as laid out in the Clean Water Ordinance for post-construction maintenance has been received with this application. A landscape plan and tree protection plan in accordance with the current landscaping and tree protection ordinance has been provided by the applicant. The landscape plan since the work session has been updated to meet the minimum requirements. They have also submitted a written request to the Planning Commission requesting permission to remove a total of 4 preservation trees on this site in order to accommodate needed grading, and has accounted for the trees in the submitted landscape plan. So that will be part of the approval, should the Planning Commission decide to move forward with this. And they have provided a written request with justification for the removal in Exhibit 11 of your agreement, the last page, Exhibit 11 of the agenda, sorry. Staff has reviewed the information as submitted regarding the application and has found all required documentation to be accounted for and in compliance with applicable ordinances and regulations. Therefore, staff recommends the Planning Commission approve Agenda Item 250803, application for site plan approval for AIM Academy.
All right, thank you, Casey. We'll open it up for discussion.
Can you
David,
remind
I
me
have-
of, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I have one quick question. Maybe, I'm seeing that we might possibly need 2 actions taken here tonight, or maybe it's already been done and I missed the meeting, but it says that it's not by right, this, what they're wanting to do here in this zoning district, but in R1, but with Planning Commission approval. Have we given them approval at any other time? Has this come before us before, and maybe I missed the meeting, or do we not need to give them approval since it's not by right, but it's with approval of the Planning Commission?
Needs to be done.
I seem to remember we had discussion about it, but I don't remember when that was exactly.
If it's in the table of permitted uses with Planning Commission approval, then yes, you would need to give Planning Commission approval before, at the same time you approve the site plan. Normally.
No, this is typically if there's something that, if there's an item that's controversial and there may be a question as to whether it could be approved, then they may do it separately. We have done site plan approvals with land use at the same time on multiple other projects. So that would be land use approval of the daycare in this location as well as the site plan.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure that we weren't getting ahead of ourselves here. All right, any other discussion?
Can you guys remind me of how traffic's supposed to flow in the mornings, I guess, with all the additional traffic? I know we've rerouted traffic's going this way now for the elementary school. Is the plan going to be that they'll drop off kids right here and then continue on into the flow of Rockwell traffic?
I believe they have somebody here to answer that. I know that we went over this at the work session. I believe the Rockwell School Drive was proposed to be the main entrance and exit, but
I think he said it'd be people coming out of Rockwell would be bringing their kids that way to his facility, but that they wouldn't be exiting out that way. Go ahead.
I'm Jay Robertson with Sawgrass Consulting. Maybe I can clear up a little bit of this, but yes, we've met with the Baldwin County Public Schools Superintendent for Construction and Development, which is Frank Boatwright, and discussed the traffic pattern. You are correct. They will pull into the, I guess that would be the western driveway here, and then drop off in the front there, and then moving back into the flow of traffic. We would have to follow the traffic as it kind of runs through Rockwell Drive there to access back out to 31. And I believe that's right in, right out now with the new
All right, any other discussion?
I guess I know they just sent out a map for Rockwell for leaving. Were they exiting though? I don't have the map readily available on 31. I thought they were directing the traffic the other way. Does anybody remember that map they just sent out?
Exiting from the school,
Correct.
On
They had all these arrows.
it's on the 31.
So for sure they're exiting on,
Isn't it go back the other way too?
there was a map they sent out just the other day for school.
I wasn't there this morning, but I think that's what I remember was that they're going to come in from Jimmy Faulkner, then exit on 31. And I don't,
I think all I know is this morning when Green did well. It was a surprise.
You know, I would believe if someone was dropping off at the daycare and at the school, you know, if they went through the daycare first, they would have to go, you know, drop off and then go to the right. They would have to follow the same traffic pattern. They would have to go, if they're not going to the school after the daycare, they would have to go left. Yes.
You just make sure, I don't know who's gonna stop traffic. I mean, by these arrows, they're going against traffic. So whatever you're describing is different than what the school is doing. I just wanna make sure we're all on the same page.
What I was trying to say was if someone's dropping off at the daycare and at the school, they would go through the daycare first and then get back into traffic. Now, if they're not, they would have to go left to follow that traffic pattern back out. Yes.
And remember, that's this week.
Yeah.
That could change depending on how well it works.
Any other discussion? All right, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. Agenda item 250803, to approve the application for site plan.
Lemoyne,
Yes.
Diamond. Vaughn. Lindsay. Smith,
yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
McMillan.
Yes.
All right, motion's approved. All right, we have agenda item 250804. This is a regulation review. We'll have a public hearing on this agenda item. It's amending section 6.4, table of permitted uses and conditions of ordinance 51-96, adding uses related to auto part sales except used parts in the B3 General Business District. Casey or David, you want to take this one?
Mr. Chairman, I'll handle that one. This is, the discussion was had at the work session regarding the request to rezone certain property earlier in the meeting to B4 to allow for auto part sales. You all discussed that you were uncomfortable with the proposed B4 zoning classification at that location. However, you were not uncomfortable necessarily with an auto parts, new auto parts sales at that location. And so this is an amendment, proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance that would allow for auto parts sales except used parts enclosed within a structure in B3 with Planning Commission approval, B4 by right, and M1 by right. Presently, it's not allowed in B3, but this will allow it with Planning Commission approval if it's ultimately approved by the City Council. And so this would be a recommendation after public hearing from you all to the City Council whether to approve or deny this proposed amendment.
All right, thank you, David. Any discussion?
So in full disclosure, I am not a car expert, but I thought AutoZone and these stores sold reconditioned, or they used to be actual parts also, in addition to new parts. So does this phrase impact them by having that phrase in there, used?
That's the language that's presently in the ordinance, and I was thinking about that in terms of, I think reconditioned,
They sell that,
I think could arguably be considered new. But what we're trying to avoid is, for example, salvage yards, those kind of things where you're actually storing. That's why we put it inside a structure, as opposed to having places where they're selling, pulling cars off lots, those kind of things. If we need to address that language further, we can, but that's the language that's presently in the ordinance says auto parts sales except used.
All right, anybody
I think
else?
all of us, yeah, we're just concerned about B4 on that one lot. Yeah, so yeah, if we could narrow it down to where we could allow it in a B3, I'd be for that.
All right, we'll open our public hearing. Anybody wish to speak? Public hearing's closed. Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for agenda item 250804, the amending to section 6.4 of the table permitted uses, to approve that.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All right, roll call, Carol, please.
Lemoyne,
Yes.
Diamond,
Yes.
Vaughn. Lindsay, Smith,
Yes.
Yes.
McMillan.
Yes.
Motion's approved. All right, we have agenda item 250805. This is a regulation review. We'll have a public hearing on this agenda. Amending ordinance 598-2021 of the Spanish Fort, Alabama, as amended the sign ordinance. David?
Mr. Chairman, this is a proposed amendment to the sign ordinance to add Section 8.8 supplemental criteria for business and industrial zoning districts. In particular, those are zoning districts in B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, and M1, as set forth in Exhibit 6, in particular as it relates to digital or electronic signs. We've had, the mayor and council have had numerous requests for consideration of allowing for electronic and digital signs. These are signs that will basically allow for illumination or lighting through a digital or electronic sign, as opposed to just a static sign or fixed construction, or internally illuminated signs. The criteria or limitations would be to try and protect traffic safety, try to protect them from becoming distractions, and also to stop flashing and those kind of things. Would be that it only is allowed to display one static message at a time. There cannot be any movement or the appearance of movement. Number two, that the intensity level cannot be more than 0.3 foot candles of ambient light measured 150 feet from the sign. They have to be equipped with an operational light sensor that automatically adjusts the intensity of the sign based on the amount of ambient light. That it will be limited, all signs will be limited to one message change on the hour. For example, at 6 a.m. there can be a message change, at 7 a.m. there can be a message change, and that way, instead of having just flashing that occurs, because there could be a number of signs, they would all change at once, basically, but giving people the opportunity to advertise or utilize the signs for different messaging. And that has to be accomplished within 0.5 of a second. In the event of a malfunction, it's required to be able to freeze or display a full black or turn off in the event of malfunction. They also have to utilize best evidence of industry practices in eliminating or reducing uplight or light trespass. They'll not be authorized within 100 feet of a residential district. Digital electronic sign portion of the ground sign shall not exceed 60 square feet, which is basically the same size of a ground sign frontage that you have. Cannot be used for outdoor advertising of activities or off-premise advertising. Cannot be used for continuous or streaming video, flashing lights, physical movement, anything, images moving that would cause a distraction to drivers. And then because the city does have an interest in potentially utilizing a digital sign or electronic sign here or at some other locations, maybe in adjacent or related to municipal parks or otherwise, to allow for community messaging, also emergency messaging for road closures, hurricanes, supplies, those kind of things. The city would be exempt from these provisions so far as the number of message changes, and that would be left to the mayor and city council to determine how and under what circumstances that could be done. For example, Amber Alerts, those kind of things could also be placed on city messaging boards, and so the city would have the authority and the right to determine the number and changing messages based on community needs and purpose.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask David quick?
David, you through, or you got any other?
Matthew just caught a typographical error for me on the last page. The last sentence says the operation of any city owned. It should just be, take out that the operation of any city owned and operated. Thank you, Matthew. So if you'll strike that.
All right, thank you, David. All right, open for discussion.
David, I know we had an ordinance that we went over, and I was just real quick, could you highlight the difference in this, what we've already had in place for electronic signs? We had something
Yeah.
already.
Well, we have very limited electronic signs and billboards at this point. The only place where we actually have electronic billboards authorized is adjacent to the Eastern Shore Center. They were allowed to have one electronic billboard there as part of a sign package and overlay district at this Eastern Spanish Fort Town Center. They were allowed to either have multiple listing signs or one electronic billboard. They chose to go with multiple listing signs. And then I think it's within 500 feet of a couple of locations where digital electronic billboards can be allowed in relation to the Bayway on the Causeway area.
So,
And then,
so my question was, we have an ordinance already for electronic signs?
yes.
Yes, and my question, I think, was just, what's the real adder?
Well, the adder is that those are limited to those centers and overlay districts, and they don't apply across the whole city. On the Causeway also is an overlay district, only allows for electronic billboards on the Causeway overlay district. Then we did also allow for some electronic digital signs for gas stations because the price was changing so much. And then we also allowed for an overlay district on the Causeway again to allow for message boards for those restaurants. And that was kind of our put your toe in the water test case that the mayor and the council looked for to do that. And so this would allow this signs to be used throughout the city in these business and industrial zoning classifications.
Basically, what it's doing, Kevin, is moving it from the Causeway up 31 all the way across the
So
city.
this will take precedence over all the overlays that we did? Nope.
No.
This will allow for signs, those size signs, to be used throughout the city.
Sure.
But the billboards still will only be allowed in the overlay district. These are 60 square foot electronic signs. Those are, what, 500, they're bigger for the interstates.
All right, any other discussion?
How you gonna measure 100 foot from a residential area?
It would be the sign placement. If you say you have a business that butts up against a residential
I'm
district.
thinking up and down 31.
Yeah, I mean, 100 feet, it was 150. We're thinking because of lot depth and those kind of things that you ought to be able to hit 100 fairly easily. There may be some places, but if you had a business, let's say you had a business that had 200 foot of frontage adjacent to a residential area, well, they'd put the sign in the middle of their property.
What if you have, and I know we still do, on 31, some areas that are still residential zoned, right next door. So you got houses on 31 that are R1. So you wouldn't be able to put a sign anywhere within 100 feet of those lots.
Correct. The way it's drafted. So if that's too close.
And we all know that's evolving. I mean,
Yeah.
It's going to take care of
Yeah,
itself.
the
long-term.
idea being
I'm
that.
just bringing out a point so we're all aware of it.
Yeah. And that may be something we have to come back and look at depending on its impact. But we did shrink it down from, I think one time maybe in 200, and we shrunk it down to 100 to try and make sure that as many of the businesses we could would have an opportunity to have that sign.
David, when I read this, I was kind of hoping that it would help eliminate some of the staff work with the overlay districts. Now, I understand the mall, I understand Eastern Shore Center and Town Center. We still probably need those overlays in place, but this seems like this should take over, huh?
No, and I hear what you're saying, and that's right. In effect, the overlay district at the Eastern Shore Center, the overlay district at Spanish Fort Town Center, and the overlay district at the Causeway for billboards is 4 signs, and there isn't going to be any more. That's all there are. This allows throughout the city for those types of signs. Does that make sense? We still need to have those because that doesn't allow for billboards at all.
You said that, and then now we got Eastern Shore Center, we have Causeway. What about Causeway overlay?
Well, the overlay districts, one of them is the Causeway. That's the Causeway overlay district is for the 2 billboards adjacent to the Bayway. The Spanish Fort Town Center overlay district would allow for 1 electronic digital billboard, but they've chosen not to do it. But they may change their mind in the future. But what we've done is whatever we've given, you've all approved for the Eastern Shore Center, you've offered the Spanish Fort Town Center. The Spanish Fork Town, Eastern Shore Center chose to do the electronic billboard there. And the trade-off is, instead of having every business like Best Buy, Old Navy, pick them out, having their each individual ground sign, we gave an option to have a multiple listing sign and a billboard, so we had one. And so that overlay needs to stay there because that's not covered by this. Likewise, at the town center, two multiple listing, or three multiple listing, or one billboard. They chose to do the multiple listing. And then that does not allow any billboards at all. The only billboards that are allowed are in the Causeway Overlay District. So we still need to have those because we don't allow billboards like that throughout the city, just in the special areas. But for all the other, with the exception of those, that is a citywide ordinance that you have in your hand.
All right, anybody else? All right, we'll open our public hearing. Anybody wish to speak? Public hearing's closed. Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve agenda item 250805. This is amending ordinance number 5982021 of the city of Spanish Fort, as amended, the sign ordinance.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
And this will be a recommendation to the city council
I'll second that.
to approve.
Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, Carol, please.
Lemoyne, Diamond,
Yes.
Vaughn, Lindsay, Smith, Nelson,
Yes.
McMillan.
Yes.
All right, motion's approved. All right, we'll come to our public participation part of the meeting. Anybody wish to speak? All right, we have a few announcements here. The next regular meeting of the Planning Commission will be held Monday, September 8th. A work session will begin at 6 p.m. in the multipurpose room of the Spanish Fork Community Center, followed by the regular meeting at 6:30. The next informal work session of the Planning Commission will be held Monday, August 25th at 6 p.m. We're going to have a special meeting at that work session before the work session, so that will actually, the special meeting will start at 6. The next, let's see, the submission deadline for September regular meeting agenda is Tuesday, August 12th at 12 noon. Anybody else have any other announcements? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn? Meeting's adjourned.